Brain Candy Podcast, episode 692. Susan Marie Meister Butler here.
Sarah Whitney Rice. Louise. Sarah Whitney Louise Rice here.
Hello. Hey, happy March.
Yeah. I love March.
Why?
Because it's like spring.
Oh, yeah, it is like spring. That is true. It's a trickery, though.
Yeah, it is like spring. I didn't mean to use like that, but that is correct. It's my favorite month for, you're going to hate this, snowboarding, because it's starting to warm up. So sometimes you can go with just like...
Oh, no, I like that about it.
It's like warm, and the snow feels so good when it's like, I'm like getting a tan and snowboarding. It's so fun. And like summers, right? I feel like it's just like you could see, and the leaves start coming out, and it's starting to like...
Life is anew.
Yeah.
My favorite day of March is this week. It's March 4th because it's the only day of the year that is a command.
Oh, I like that. March 4th,
you know?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, like we finished the first trimester. What do they call that? Quarter of the year, not a trimester. Quarter of the year. Now, March 4th, like a carry on.
Yes, I like that.
How are you? How are you doing?
Yeah. Okay. I'm super excited about your year of adventure.
I know. I said I wish I hadn't told Sarah.
I know.
Because like everybody has a different idea of what adventure means. And like for you, it means like fucking jumping off buildings. And for me, it's like going out in public with no makeup. For real. Like there are different kinds of adventure.
Totally. Right.
But I am trying to do more of what you would consider adventure too. You know? Like,
I'm just excited for you to like get out and about. And
I'm excited for your year of rest. We should switch.
Really should. I think we've each mastered the other one. And now we need to like, expand our skills and
stretch ourselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But how are you?
I'm okay. All is well over here. Nothing too exciting. Yeah, I'm just really good and planning the rest of the year. As we talked about last episode, sort of getting out of our bunkers and booking travel maybe and stuff like that. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. So
that's great.
All is well. And I am loving like our new video stuff. And I
was just thinking this.
I hope you guys are following us on TikTok. And I do post stuff on Instagram Reels too. But anytime you guys share those, it helps the show so much. But I just find it really fun to make and to put them up. And you crack me up, obviously, in all of them.
You crack me up. This is the best. I just love watching you react to this crazy things I say. That is when I get to actually see that.
If I had a certain number of wishes, from like a genie, I would love to see like what it really is like in your brain.
Oh my God. That you don't want to do that to, why would you do that to yourself?
And do you feel like a person could like reliably report what their brain is like? Could you describe it? Is it busy? Is it quiet? Is it?
Oh, it's very busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's busy, and it's also like, okay, if you could imagine it as like one part of my brain clearly knows that it's driving somewhere. It's going somewhere. It's got a destination.
Like a linear movement.
Yeah. One knows like this is what the path we're supposed to be on. And this is funny because this actually does happen in real life too. And I would say thoughts and other things are like shops and restaurants and things that just pop up. There's like the most
That's so funny.
Roadside attractions you've ever seen in your life. And like,
and they all seem interesting.
And they all seem interesting. And you feel like you're missing a lot of them as you go by in that direction. Like, what about this idea? What about this idea? What I missed this thing, this. And and then every now and then when you do take one of those ideas or go off on that direction, you get it's hard to get back on course.
Well, so explain this to me, because to me, that is kind of what it's like doing an edible of marijuana, like THC. And everything's so funny and interesting and fascinating and all that stuff. Yeah. And you said, well, it's a drug of novelty, and you understood what I meant. Totally. But like, how do you enjoy that if that's always how your brain is?
Oh, how do I enjoy edibles and stuff like that?
Well, just sort of like how
it has the opposite effect. It slows me down.
For you doesn't do
no. It helps me focus on whatever. It keeps me focused on the road in front of me, but like in a way where it's like
this. Wow.
Yes.
So cool.
It's like, this road is, but I'm focused only on the road. Oh
my God. That is great.
So it's like a break. It's really nice.
I cannot understand that.
When I went in for my, went to my new doctor and had my whole physical and everything, and I got my meds, like with my new doctor, my ADHD stuff, they did a drug panel, and I was like, this is going to come back positive for THC. She's like, oh yeah, it always does with you guys. Like, yeah. And she's like,
guys.
Yeah. And she's like, next time you come in, we'll test you again. And it'll probably be less. Then I'll have less, my levels of that will be less because when I'm medicated, I don't need it because I can focus. So I can just slow down. Like, it feels like I need, maybe the pot is more like speed bumps in the road. Like it slows me down, and it makes it so I'm like, I don't know, focused on.
I can't.
Yeah,
that's
it's
so
like driving. And then also if you have the music turned up to 11 and you're constantly changing the station as well, and you have somebody else in the car asking you where you're going and you don't know because you haven't checked the map in a little bit, that's kind of what it feels like inside my brain.
It sounds scary.
And then you have a timeline, and then you're supposed to be there by a certain time. So there's that feeling of panic in there too. That's like always there. And then when I take my meds, it's kind of like I'm focused on the road, and I also understand that I will get there in the time that it's like.
You have a better understanding of the time.
Yes.
Okay.
How much? Yeah, totally. Good question.
Okay.
What's it feel like in your brain?
Well, everything is very orderly. And just logical, but the exception to that, and it is bad, is the earworm problem. That I have I forget if there's a name for it, but I never am not without an earworm. And it gets, the more anxious I am, for example, if I'm laying in bed at night trying to go to sleep, the louder it is. And I have banned 2 songs this week from my child ever playing in front of me. One is Miley Cyrus's Flowers, and one is Meghan Trainor's Made You Look. Yes, it is. These are mathematical earworms, and they are curses.
Flower. That one was stuck in my head like all last week too. It's a curse. You're right. Oh, and poor Susie. And you're so susceptible to that. Like, that's how your brain. It hears sounds different. Like, you're like the brain that can hear the music in a different way. So that would be.
I just want to break. I want to push pause.
Yeah.
That's the only exception. Otherwise, it's all very, methodical file cabinet type situation. Wow. And I'm just like, shut up. Because both of those songs are great. I love them. Made You Look and Flowers. So great. But that's like the problem.
But anything 1,000 million times is terrible.
Terrible.
And it's always just one lyric, like one
stanza.
Phrase. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to read a review. Let's play the music. It's the time of the show where we stop and read a review. Could be good, could be bad. It could be the best one that we've ever had. Okay, so what I will say about the review, and this is one of the challenges of having a podcast where we're talking to people, but it's a one-sided thing where like they can't really respond.
Yes.
And so this one has me perplexed, and I'm so glad she left the review, but I want to talk to her because I'm confused about it. Okay, this review is from Patty 1234567.
Love it.
And she said the title of it is Love, and it's a 5-star review. So thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you. Love it.
And that is so helpful to us. she said she really loves this show. It's great to see us. This is actually a review for this Things We Got Wrong.
Oh.
But I'm going to read it anyway. She says she loves the show and the concept of like reflecting on your past opinions. Mm-hmm. But she said that the way that we talk about cancel culture irks her. And that the implication is that it's a left-wing invention. And it's a very long review, so I won't read the whole thing. But I am with her. Like, I grew up in a conservative home, and we like weren't allowed to watch Disney films because we were boycotting them. Like, she's saying,
this is a good point. This is an excellent point.
She's saying religious conservatives have been using the technique for a long time, and all this, the Dixie Chicks, remember with the, I know all that, and I agree. Yeah. And I am confused because I don't remember, number one, ever talking about like cancel culture at length with you. Do you remember doing that?
I feel like we should probably have.
I've talked about it on her side, though. I've said like how annoying it is that like Louis C.K. won a Grammy and everyone is saying he's canceled. And I've had conversations at cocktail parties where people talk about cancel culture, and I challenge them on it, and I say, can you tell me a person who's been canceled? Because like, what does that word mean to them?
Right.
Do you mean like they got a lot of tweets at them? Because that's not canceling. And the woman had said these comedians like Chris Rock and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, if you still have a career and are touring and all that, the only person that I can think of that had an actual consequence that was sort of career altering was Roseanne.
Oh, and Roseanne. Yeah, Roseanne.
Because
I would say Kathy Griffin, maybe. No, she's still, maybe.
That was definitely for a while.
Yeah.
But like ultimately they usually come out of it and can continue touring and making money. So I guess first of all, we need to understand what we mean by cancel.
Yeah.
But also like, I'm on your side. Like, this is not like growing up. Conservatives wanted to cancel everything that didn't align with, and I had to go along with it because I was in that club. So
maybe that's what we talked about, how like people on the left are really quick to cancel things and we haven't, and like real quick to just kind of, I think we've probably,
I guess,
but it doesn't really reflect all of the.
But like I said, we talked about how mad we are about Louis C.K. and that's on her side of it.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't listen to that episode.
I know, but so I'm trying, totally, Patty, I love you. I'm just trying to figure out, like, wonder which episode it was or like what we were talking about, because in general, I want accountability on people, including myself, and consequences for bad behavior. Bill Cosby, I'm mad about him going on tour.
Yep.
So I'm not quite sure what she means, but I totally appreciate that she did this in such a great way where she left us a 5-star review.
That is the way to do it.
Thank you.
That's so nice. Like, we are totally open to growing and learning and looking at what we've done and like changing and, but it does like kind of knock the wind out of my sails a bit when they like listen to 600 episodes and then give a 4-star review because I say, a lot. I'm like, you could have just gone 5 and then told me that I do that, and then everybody's happy.
Well, I didn't want to tell you this, but there was a review above that.
Here we go. What'd I do?
There was a review above that was also 5 stars from Nikki Pow Pow, and she says she feels like she's hanging out with her girlfriends, but then she edited her original review to say that you say Eli too much. Oh,
well, okay.
Yeah.
We're filling up that swear jar that it's going to get donated to a good cause, I'm sure. Probably to buy Susie earplugs. I'm better.
She says she turns it off after the third time. So I guess it got a 3.
I really can't talk about him.
3 strikes and you're out for Nikki Pow Pow.
You're like,
I mean, I get it. Okay. You know, everybody has their thing. Okay.
I'll take the 5 stars.
Thank you, Nikki Pow Pow, for the 5 stars. Okay, let's talk about, well, we kind of left off on the last episode. We talked about like penis length and the growth.
Definitely.
Whatever. Yeah. And a Brainiac sent me an article that is on a academic study that found that the size of testicles may influence a man's role in their parenting.
What?
Yeah.
I love like loosey-goosey correlations like this.
And it did say specifically it is a correlation.
That's the rule. Correlation, not causation.
It said this is a correlation. But I was pretty, I don't know, convinced.
Oh my God, tell me.
Okay, first I'm going to tell you though about how thankful I am for Nutrafol because my hair is finally growing, as you people know. And so I was talking to Adam about it because I can tell sometimes when I'm doing my hair, like he looks at me like with the side tilt head and like feels bad for me, but I feel embarrassed that he feels bad for me.
Oh, Suze.
And I'm like, I know my hair. And he goes, it's just so thin. And I go, but look, because he notices my ponytail and how thin the pony is. I pulled it up to the very top and I said, put your fingers around this.
Yeah.
This is sounding sexual, but it was just my ponytail.
Yeah.
And he couldn't believe it because the new growth is thick.
Yes. And it is getting to that length where you could almost, I notice it too. And it's just the ends. And I totally see that new growth coming in, and you're going to have your hair. It's coming.
It's going to be okay.
Totally coming. It is so great that you have something to help stimulate your scalp, to help grow that new hair, because that is tough, man.
It's so embarrassing.
I am so mad at that hairdresser.
Me too.
But so grateful for Nutrafol.
For me, at least I can point my rage at like a person, but for a lot of people, it's like hormones or stress.
Your own baby.
Yeah, right. What are you going to do? Be mad at that little guy?
Right. God.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of things that contribute to whether your hair is thinning or not. And so Nutrafol is such a great option if you want to support that hair growth and get the vitamins and stuff going that encourages healthy, great growth. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code BRAINCANDY to save $15 off your first month subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it's only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Again, that's free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code BRAINCANDY. Thank you guys for using our codes. It helps us so much. Okay.
I've been taking such stock in how things change over time, and like how, like, if I give my plants Miracle Grow, you know, like 3 months later, they're like looking nice. And I understand that it takes like time for them to grow for some reason. But then with myself, I'm like, it's like a whole new thing where I'm like, I'm going to actually like take my vitamins and do the thing like regularly, because like I somehow understand that for my plants, but why I don't apply the same thing to me is like silly. So I'm trying to just do that, and it's been great. So
I'm so glad. And you're right. Like observing that kind of growth in other things, you're like, oh wait, I guess.
Oh, right. That's how this works.
Takes a minute.
Yeah. Takes a little while. Like it took an entire year for my plants to grow just a few new little leaves.
Okay. So this study on the size of testicles, here's what it showed. The size of a man's testicles may predict how enthusiastically he participates in parenting, according to a new study published in Proceedings of National Academy of Sciences. Men who are more well-endowed in this particular department tend to be less involved in run-of-the-mill parenting, like tucking their kids in for bedtime, feeding them, or taking them to the doctor.
Wait a sec. These big bald daddies don't want to spend any time with their kitties? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
What? Okay. Question. Is there a correlation between testosterone and size of your testicles?
After analyzing the evidence, the results were clear. Men with larger testicles were less involved, but likewise, those with higher testosterone levels were less involved parents, though levels of that hormone did not significantly influence their reaction to their child's photo. So one of the parts of the study was showing pictures of their kids being adorable. And for this,
Stop it right now. They don't give a shit if their kids are adorable when they got big old balls.
Yeah, they're just
That's like your
thinking
big
about
dick
their balls.
You care more about your big dick than you do your kids. I'm already mad at all of these big testicled men.
Yeah. So in the case of the high testosterone, they did care when they saw pictures. But they still weren't involved.
Guys who have big balls.
Yeah, they don't have the balls to be a good dad, though.
What do they say this is linked to? This has got to be social
norm thing.
I mean, what? I
don't know. And they said that this was sort of like you were saying before in our last episode about like, this is such a early stage of the study that they're like, we are trying to figure out what that could be from. Because you immediately think, well, it must be the testosterone sort of decreases that nurturing urge.
Right.
But in that case, yes, they weren't as good of parents if they had high testosterone, but they at least reacted when they saw a picture.
That's all very disturbing. Like all the things.
Well, so what
like,
makes it disturbing for you?
Because
that like conservatives are right that like men are less designed for parenting.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Because I hate that part.
Yeah, I totally hate that part.
Like that women are meant to be in the home and be nurturers, and men are meant to go out and get money.
I was thinking even like that the things that we put on a pedestal in a way work, not us, but like work against us. Like you would say. There are, I think there are studies out there that talk about women's attraction to men with higher testosterone at different times of their cycle, and how we are to be impregnated. We have a desire to like biologically, our instinct is to reach towards somebody who in the long run wouldn't even fucking bat an eye at the picture of his kitty.
Yeah, what is that about?
That's twisted. That like it's you have to override biology in that sense. Like that's why I'm like, do not trust when you're ovulating. Don't listen. Don't trust that woman. She is
is it
testosterone hungry?
Is it though that your magnet. Evolution says you want a man who like is only interested in going out and like killing the bear?
Oh, and isn't in a way going to take your job away? Like,
yeah, they're going to like provide for you and provide for the family, but they're not going to get caught up in all the hubbub at home. I don't know. I hate it though.
That's a good argument. I do too.
Because like that means find you a kind of like a man who's not so masculine if you want to.
Yeah, this is the Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt, John Cusack phenomenon.
I don't know this phenomenon.
Or often referred to as the George Clooney, John Cusack phenomenon. That women tend to go back and forth. Like you can see it in movies, that the leading man will be a George Clooney type who's like this, like rip, the testosterone guy. And then the next season we'll have met the man that is like the love interest is like John Cusack, who's like the opposite.
Like tender, sensitive.
Yeah, he's going to like hold up a stereo outside your window and like, cry for you in the rain. He's done that in like every fucking movie he's in. He's like crying for a woman in the rain. Like, Charlie, I love you.
What do you tend to be more attracted to, like just naturally yourself?
Oh, the sensitive one.
Yeah, me too.
For sure. And I think that's because my testosterone levels are high. I don't know if I told
Me
you this on the
too.
podcast. Yours are high. My
Yeah, that's why I
brother
have
got
chin
his
acne.
testosterone levels tested. The normal range is like, I think the cutoff is like 600. My brother's levels were in the 900s. He's like so beyond. My brother has so high testosterone. Like
now
I
we
think
know
our
it's
whole
just
family,
like a rice train.
yeah, will have like so much testosterone that like I think that I tend to find the nurturers, and
Yeah, okay, that's a good match then.
yeah, it's great.
But it is disturbing that like guys with big
Really
balls
disturbing.
don't really care about their kids.
It's the fact that they didn't respond to the photos.
Yeah. It's a bummer, man.
Like, gals. Bet you didn't know that you needed to bring a little teeny tiny scale with you. And if you get stopped by the cops, they'll be like, is this for dealing drugs and measuring drugs out? Why do you need a scale so small? And you're like, no, it's to weigh the balls of any guy I go out with. And if they're too big, I'm not doing it.
For real. I don't even think I've ever looked at balls.
Never. It's never been something that has even crossed my mind, or I've been like, oh, those are a nice set. Like, I literally don't give a fuck what your balls look like.
Nice set.
I never once thought like, oh, they're hairy. Oh, they're wrinkly. Like, I've never compared. I couldn't even tell you what a ball sack of anybody I look like. There's none of them that stand out to me.
You couldn't like pick them out of a lineup.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But I am convinced I could pick their dick out of a lineup.
Well, yes, I think that.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
No, because that's the showstopper.
Well, right, but like I think apparently guys think that we care about maybe
that is the mystery. Why do they
mystery.
think we care about balls? I wouldn't even notice if you had none. I swear.
Right.
It would take me a long
notice
time, but it would take a while.
It might notice in like, and that there's got to. I wouldn't. As somebody without a set of my own, I feel like there's some connection and some like part of like your identity in a way that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And women aren't weird like this about tit size. It's not like we like have bigger boobs and love our kids more. What the fuck is this about?
Yeah, right. That's so true. I wish that famous quote that's attributed to Betty White about how like, why do people say whatever about balls? It should be the
takes balls. Like, yeah, like a pussy's the one that could take a pounding. And
I wish she really had said that.
Did she not?
No, she never did. But I don't know.
I bet she would co-sign that though.
Yeah, she'd support it for sure.
She's like, I'm into that.
Yeah. But anyway, so check your partner's balls before you take the plunge. There you go. That was in Smithsonian Magazine. Thank you to the Brainiac who sent that to me. Okay. This is one of my favorite maladies. Are you familiar with that thing that can happen when you have like a disease or maybe like a traumatic event and then all of a sudden you start speaking with like a foreign accent?
Yes, I am. And it is the strangest thing in the whole, I'm not like familiar with it. Like I know what it's about, but I feel like I read something recently that talked about somebody who did this. And and in some situations they've been to the place, which is understandable. But I think the one that I read about, the man had like, it was like an Irish accent or something. Yeah. And like, how fucking annoying would that be?
Totally.
I'd be like, okay, we get it.
The sad thing,
I don't know. Is he even Irish?
The sad thing is that like, that's how I would feel, but the person feels like that. They describe it as feeling like a stranger is in the room when they're talking.
Oh God.
That'd be a nightmare.
Those kind of things where your brain is missing a connection, or like the where it can't recognize faces, or everybody looks like a stranger, like those situations where like your own sister will look like a stranger to you, like you've never met, and they'll say, no, we know each other. And you're like, no, we haven't. Where it's all it is a wire that got fucking crisscrossed.
It's a glitch.
Yeah. And it's not difficult for this. Like it is. It's rare, but these glitches happen. It makes us, that is like where I'm like, are you sure we're not in a simulation? This feels like that just needs like need to like reset the
just
program.
this week was like, you know what? I think we are. I swear, Sarah,
Sometimes
that would
I'm
make
like,
the most sense to me. Like, oh, I see. This isn't real. This is a computer.
Yeah. Just need to like reset the operating system and like.
You know how a lot of people get relief out of religion?
Yeah.
That's what I would feel about the simulation. Like, okay, that explains it.
And that I've heard that the reason why math is always the way it is so poetic and it's so perfect is that's the code.
Oh my God. Stop.
And that's the operating system's code. And all we have to do is like fill in the rest of the code. And then we know it's the formula for how our world works, which is actually accurate. Like
and
we know
that's
this,
why
everything.
Like Miley Cyrus's Flowers is more of an earworm than like la la la.
Correct.
Because it's part of the code in there.
Yes. And it is if you build it, if it somehow connect and like how we talked about before that what we're attracted to and what we like the most is something that is familiar but also new. And so that
novelty and familiarity.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that kind of, I think there's something about those songs that matches our default code, this is the code and that's why certain notes have the same physical we have the same reaction. We know we can all say like what's a positive and it's like, this is the code for good feelings or for like releasing this serotonin or releasing this dopamine or blah, 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 blah. And you just got to like fucking find the code.
I got a good code for you and it's for athletic greens.
That's been my daily. This is a great example. This is a perfect example. This is really what started my whole, why am I feeding my plants stuff and not feeding myself stuff? And I like saw, this is exactly how this happened, Susie. I saw my plant's leaves turn a different color, like change color. And I was like, oh, it needs more nitrogen. I know how to respond to this. I knew exactly what to do. Here I am, drying up all the science, like the leaves that I have are like my hair. You might as well think it's like drying up. It's getting like all my pores, my skin. Everything is screaming at me.
She's shriveling up.
Yeah, please give us some nutrients.
Yeah,
like you do your plants. And so I'm telling you, I had no idea how important vitamin D was for me to take on the daily.
Well, because you've always lived in California, so it was less of a thing. I know you get a lot of sun in Colorado, but it's just different in different areas. Mm-hmm. And this is a big deal in the northern part of the world, like U.S. here too. And so this makes it so easy because Athletic Greens, you can pour the stuff in the thing and in the water, take it every morning. You'll feel like $1 million, but there's also the vitamin D drop. It's like boop, and then you're done.
Yeah. It's become part of our ritual. We do the A1 or AG1 by Athletic Greens. That's like super easy.
Just every day.
Eli is so into it.
You're in a routine.
She's going to turn it off.
Oh no, Patty, we're sorry. Or no,
who we do not speak of, is also
because you guys are you both are in a routine,
right? And he's like the organized mind. So he's like, this is what we're doing. This is we ain't getting any younger over here, and plants don't water themselves. So
yeah, and if you can convince yourself to sort of get in this routine, you will feel like $1 million. So
it really does help.
AG1 and then the vitamin D drop. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/braincandy. That's athleticgreens.com/braincandy and check it out. I always say, just go get your vitamin D and the 5 free things. Give it a try. See if you like it. Right. You know what I mean? Give it a whirl.
You're somebody who, like, we do this for other people. Like, I see my friends who have kids, like, do the things for their kids and, like, oh, make sure that you take your multivitamin. And, like, then we just don't do it to ourselves because we figure, like, if it ain't broke, guess what? It's slowly falling apart. This is what I'm saying to myself. And so now I'm putting it
Yeah,
back
just
together.
ask my mom. God. Right?
Well, honestly, I was thinking about that a lot. That was what motivated me to go to the doctor. And because it was like, and then I said, just give me every test because I'd rather just know than not know.
Yeah. Get the
Just
scoop.
know. Right. Totally.
Right. Okay. So any hoodles, this guy he's a North Carolina man and he got testicular cancer. And about, 5 months later, so he's in his 50s, and about 5 months later, he developed an Irish brogue that remained with him for the rest of his life, which sadly was only, less than a year before he passed away. But the entire time he was speaking in Irish brogue, and not by choice. It was just his speaking voice or whatever.
I read the same article, and it was interesting because it was the testicular cancer. Because then they removed it, and then it came back in another place, right? Didn't it become?
Oh, that I don't know.
I think it went to another part of his body, and it never went away. Like they couldn't.
They said it was the first example of this phenomenon happening in someone with testicular cancer, and
maybe that was it.
The third for malignancy.
Wow.
But this can happen like if you have a traumatic event or whatever, some things just happen. And they claim that it's because your immune system can attack part of your brain as well as muscles and nerves and all that stuff. And they describe it as an unsettling feeling of hearing a stranger in the house whenever they speak. And these are some other examples of it, which I just have to mention. UK woman Linda Walker suffered a stroke and discovered that her Georgie accent had been replaced by a Jamaican-sounding voice. And then one was...
No.
And she was like, call me now.
No, stop. And then you'd be like, I swear I'm not appropriating Jamaican. Like, could you imagine? No matter what
and
you
she's
do,
getting canceled.
Oh my God, for having a brain
She's
disorder.
like, first the cancer,
Yes,
now
no.
the cancel. God.
That is, what a cruel, cruel joke our brains play on us. That's fucked up.
Yes. And then what it said, one of the first, it's not even funny, but it is. One of the first examples was in 1941 when a young Norwegian woman developed a German accent after being hit by bomb shrapnel during the Second World War air raid. And she was shunned by locals who thought she was a Nazi spy.
Right. Of course they did. Oh my God. There's gotta be. So you know how when we look at dreams, often we can kind of connect something in our dreams to maybe a conversation we had or something we saw on TV.
Yes.
This feels like if we were to really okay, the guy's never been to Ireland, but did he love? What are those movies? Does he love? What's that one with where we can't understand a fucking word they say? With the Dougs, the Brad Pitt and Brad Pitt's in it, and it's like
I don't know it.
And nobody can
But it
understand
takes
what it
place
says.
in Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, and for
in and
real, you
around
need
that area.
subtitles
right.
sometimes.
For sure. Maybe he loved movies by I don't know, some Irish.
Well, it said he did live in England in his 20s and he had friends that were Irish, but
the
the weirder
where
ones
it plants
is when they start speaking in the foreign tongue.
In the language where
that
all
they
of a sudden
didn't
they
learn.
didn't know. Oh, which then just said, come on. It's a simulation. You got the wrong code. They downloaded the wrong fucking language code into your brain. Come on.
I thought it was like, you know how Alexa, she only wakes up allegedly when you say the word, her name.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense. That means she's always listening for her name. So
Right.
it's sort of like our brains are absorbing all these dialects and
Yes.
languages, but
I
then
believe
we
this.
need something to trigger us to just all of a sudden understand it.
That there's so much space that this we have the answers to everything. It's just what we choose to information we choose to hold on to and not. And then when we get something like this, it unlocks that file cabinet that's been locked away because we're like, oh, we don't need French. I'm in America. And then you do this and it's like, oh, well, we better open this cabinet and use all that information. And then we're like, no, that's so weird. I don't know why this happens and I can't deal with that. That is these are honestly, these are the kind of questions that made me go into psychology. These are the things where I was like, and my mom being a psychic, maybe like, why? What is that? Tell me. I need answers. What is this code?
Or we're in a simulation.
Yeah.
One or the other.
I'm pretty sure that makes sense.
Okay. How about this? This is just a quick one because it made me so happy. This was sent in from a brainiac. Let me see if I have her name. I don't think I do. Oh, Kristen. Thank you for sending this to me.
Giggle.
Okay, hold on. Let me get serious. Sarah.
Oh.
A body was found in a lake. A human body.
Go on.
But guess what? It was one of those sex dolls.
Okay. Clearly there was a fight.
That's why in the headline it said they were dumped. And I was like, oh, she was dumped all right.
Oh, yeah, she was definitely dumped in more ways than one. Oh, my gosh. Well,
It's so funny to me because this was in Pennsylvania and a man and his son found it. I just picture Adam and Lincoln thinking they were solving a murder or something. And they called 911, which was great. I'm glad they did that. Because what if it were a body? Right. But then the police came out and it was just one of those gigantic silicone dolls or whatever. Oh, but what's hilarious to me is what the police released on social media afterwards, this statement. It was so funny to me. It said, "We've seen this referred to as a mannequin online. That really isn't accurate. This was a lifelike silicone item used for self-gratification. It's the size of a small... Wait, it gets ugly. It's the size of a small child, weighs about 50 pounds, and is anatomically correct."
No.
Wait a minute. Do you think it was a child doll? Because they can't sell those. There's no way that's legal to sell a sex doll, Susie, unless it's a midget, little person.
There are so many problems with this.
I love how you got your roller coaster of emotions right now.
Right.
Because
first this is just that ridiculous.
Okay, but here's why. The picture in the article was of a woman doll. So now I'm reading it and I'm like, why does it say small child, 50 pounds? Because you need to tell me in the article, pictures, don't put pretend pictures in there, stock photos.
I want the actual photo. Is this a stock image?
Because the police were really upset and they were saying, we would not want our child to stumble upon this doll.
Jesus Christ.
Who is selling sex dolls like that?
Ew.
The...
And then, I bet there are people who argue that that's harm reduction.
No.
Susie, I'm sick. I can't.
Yes.
I do not like this
but
one
then
little
it
bit.
Said, Then it said, the foot we were able to observe through the bag was extremely detailed, all the way down to the French pedicure it had.
They always have a fucking French pedicure. Always. Why is that? And then when
Who's they?
Those dolls.
They do?
Oh
What just happened?
Pictures fell off my wall.
Oh my God, now we're haunted.
A ghost.
A picture just fell off your wall and you're not upset.
It was held up by the command. I just used some command strips, and I think maybe it was for them, or I didn't I don't know. But it lasted for a good 4 weeks, so I don't know why all of a sudden now it wants to take a tumble.
All right, so let's pretend like it was not a child.
Of the mannequin. Okay, we're going to pretend like it's not a child doll, so this is an extra fucked up.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense because the picture, well, I'm just saying because the picture was...
Okay, got it, because the picture that they... Was the picture... Did it look...
They did...
Stop! What, to protect the innocent?
To protect the guilty. Yeah, they blurred the private parts of the doll.
Oh, well, the private parts, I understand.
And the breasts.
Do I, though?
You were like... I can see that. No, I don't. I think that's insane to...
That is insane.
Censor
then censoring a doll, like a mannequin, then says that okay, everything is weird about this. I would see, this is one of those things where, like, there are too many weird red flags. Somebody needs to investigate who this belongs to and then check that person's fucking search history. Like, go through that.
Yeah, if it is like a child. I'm
going to say 99.9% chance that's a dude who the owner is a man.
Yeah.
I do not see a woman doing this. So I check his computer and check his encrypted files. This is bad. What? Where did this happen?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, Pennsylvania. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some small town.
But, like, imagine. This seems very bad to me because we've talked about how expensive those dolls are.
Yeah. Right. So what would make you throw one in the lake?
Exactly. What would make you throw one in the lake? Is there evidence on this doll? It is, I don't know. I mean, like.
Yeah, because you're right. It probably was like a fucked up one.
This seems bad.
Now it makes sense because when I'm reading it, I didn't understand why the police were like so disturbed and why they were so adamant. Like, this was not a mannequin. This was not, they're trying to say like, this is a deviant.
Oh shit.
Tool. And we need to
definitely find out who did this. And because this seems like the entry, gateway to this. There's is like future.
Story.
Yeah. This is a stepping stone to fucking serial killer. This feels like he's practicing.
Like, don't fuck with cats or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I do not get a good feeling about this. Nope. Bad.
Well, thanks to Kristen for sending it. I wish I had realized earlier that this was so dark because I would have prepared you. It was funny until I thought it was. Yeah. It's not funny if it's a child doll, you sick weirdos. Okay.
Yeah. She means the owner of the doll.
Oh, yeah. The owner. God, or
so...
whoever's
and the
selling
people who
these.
make them.
Yeah.
Ew, I hate everything about this.
Okay, moving on before Sarah,
glitches.
Yeah, glitches. I'm sure you saw in the news that the Roald Dahl author, the company, the children's author, Roald Dahl.
I know, very familiar. Love all the books.
Well, his, I don't know, company, whatever his estate, whoever handles all the books now, have decided to go through all his books and make some changes that better reflect the values of today's society. So they decided to get rid of any usage of the word fat when it's describing a person. They decided to remove any references to the word black, like to describe someone. And they decided to make the Oompa Loompas gender ambiguous. Okay. So, for example, Augustus Gloop, I guess his name was in,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Was described in the book as, he was described as enormously fat in the book, and they are just calling him enormous now, for starters, which seems to defeat the purpose of
yes, it does.
Edits.
I don't understand what we're doing by taking out descriptors. And also, I am speaking about this as a white woman. I absolutely understand that. But I recently was listening to an interview with Morgan Freeman where he talked about like how these are descriptor words, and when you say
like when you say tall,
call somebody, yes, when you say we can't call somebody a black man and like, oh, don't use the word black, it makes it sound like that's a bad word. That if I have to get rid of that, that's negative. But they're not going through there and getting rid of white kid, which says one is negative and one is fine. And I don't like that.
Well, I bet you, though, since that is very rarely a descriptor in books, it's like white is the default. So then any kind of racial description is like, well, unless you add white.
Right. Exactly. So it doesn't seem like it's really... So I don't know. I don't know if we thought this was
you want them to
keep
black? I guess I feel like you either have to describe everybody's color or nobody's color.
Correct. Yeah. I would agree with that. But these things don't. Like, I think our problem is assigning a value to these things, which goes. It's so systemic and it's so like.
So you feel like fat should be allowed because it's just like saying tall. Thin, fat, like, tall,
what's
short.
What's bad about that? Like, it's not a negative. It shouldn't be. It's a describing word. Tall, short, like that.
Well, and if you're going to keep enormous, I mean,
That's so we're not changing that seems silly. That seems like I need somebody to tell me, is that and I mean, maybe it's different for everybody. Is that I don't want to say bad word.
Some people see it as a stigmatized word. Like the word obese and fat are used as like weapons against some people.
I can see that. Right. Because it's a label, because we've given it a label.
Yeah. Because so many people assign a value to it that is negative, then the word becomes stigmatized.
Yes.
But when a lot of times conservatives have pushed back against this stuff, and that includes this example as well as the Dr. Seuss example where they removed some of the collection of Dr. Seuss from, I don't know, the shelves or whatever. Conservatives get mad, and even Salman Rushdie responded and said this is censorship. But both examples, that is the estate of the person who's deceased. The estate of the author is doing this. This isn't the government. This isn't even readers. This is their own company saying we want to change it. So,
and it's not so much a censorship as it is a re-edit. Like, you know how there's so many. I remember reading Judy Blume books growing up, and there would be different copyright dates because it was copyrighted at different times based on updates that they would do. Additions, they would change things. Anytime a book is written, they change things. So it's like, I get that. It's a different edition.
To me, it feels like
from the author's estate.
This is just economics. This is a belief by your company that you want to make this person's books popular in the future. And so if you see certain shifts in language that you think might preclude you from becoming successful in the year 2030, well, then you might make the business decision to change that book. I never see this as sort of like, oh, they're making a moral choice here.
Nobody ever does
see
that.
It as economics.
Right. Yeah. For a bit where they have to actually put dollars out there and put the energy into. No, it's only for, exactly like you said.
This isn't to maintain some legacy or to adjust some legacy. This is about dollars and cents, in my opinion.
Because if nobody pushed back, then they wouldn't do anything. And it's interesting because I heard I don't know, this was years ago. There was some like kind of anti-Roald Dahl language going around, like I don't know, rhetoric going around about how he dealt with children who were adopted. And it felt almost like it wasn't a big enough issue for people to rally around for them to make changes. but this is a big enough issue that affects enough people in their mind and whatever, so we can make those changes. So it just feels like it doesn't. This isn't solving the problem. This isn't.
Well, and the thing that he's famously accused of is anti-Semitism, and I didn't hear anything about changing anything there. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, like he's controversial because he said things. I don't know if it was in his books or in his life that were anti-Semitic. But like again, the longer we go, the more things that will seem like, oh, why would you say that? I'm sure we will have the same problem in 40 years.
Hello, this is why we did the other podcast, Things We Got Wrong, because we recognize that like
we
things
learn,
change and we grow and new information comes out and I did
think it was funny that they took out fat and left enormous. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because that seems like we're dealing more with the negative connotation of that actual word. And
rather than just descriptors.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's one last thing, because I guess I never read his book called The Witches.
Loved it. My favorite one.
Duh. What if it weren't? That'd be weird.
I know. Come on.
Okay.
I loved his books. And they really made me feel, in a way, like seen and understood. Like I connected to the characters.
Because they're weirdos.
Yeah, they're weirdos. They're rejects, and they often have terrible home lives, and they need to escape them. All of James, he went and lived in a fucking peach. Please.
Oh, yeah.
That was better than home.
Good point.
Right.
Well, in the 1983 book, The Witches, he wrote that witches are bald beneath their wigs. Mm-hmm. But according to The Telegraph, an added line in New Edition says, quote, "There are plenty of other reasons why women might wear wigs, and there is nothing wrong with that." What are your thoughts on that edit? I don't know why that was necessary.
It wasn't.
What do you think drove that? I don't understand. Like, was there a lot of people saying like, hey, I'm bald and I'm not a witch?
Maybe.
How was there that many people that were worrying about this?
I mean, I can see that, like, if you're a kid reading the book and say your mom has cancer and your mom goes through chemo and she has to put on a wig.
Oh my God,
every day.
Sarah.
And your little 7-year-old brain looks into the bedroom and sees mom putting on a wig, and in their little kid head thinks, oh no, my mom's sick and she's a witch. I used to think, because my mom, like, I don't know, had a active nightlife and every now and then would like go out, that my mom was a vampire. I was convinced. I was like, I remember a period of my life where I was like checking to make sure she wasn't a vampire. I don't know how, but I was like, she probably is. And I was like I was like terrified by this, like the idea that my mom was like a vampire. And like, I don't know what that came from. So I could see a kid whose parent is really going through that, which would be so hard. Like that would be something that you wouldn't want them to think, you know?
That is a really nice example of who might care about that line that I never would have thought of and is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had friends growing up whose parents had cancer and wore wigs. And I remember there was that time where I was like not old enough to ask questions or know even what questions to ask, but I would see like the wig, and I would just wonder, like, what does it look like? Like, what is it? It just, you have a lot of questions as a kid. And it could be really easy for a kid to go, oh, I guess she's a witch then. And I guess she's going to turn me into a mouse and eat me, or like all the other crazy. And that's just not what you want kids thinking.
Yeah, good point. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Let's wind it down.
Oh, wow. We just flew through that.
Flew through it. Size of testicles may or may not make you a bad dad.
Blew my mind. I mean, this...
It's really something.
Yeah.
And foreign accents, always funny, but especially funny when they come out of nowhere and you never lived in that place. If you had to pick one, what would you choose?
Excellent question. My instinct is to go Jamaican because it would be so like just only because it would be so great, but it would be so bad. I think I would go French accent.
Ooh,
because I feel like you kind of be a little bit of an asshole and get away with it. I don't know why. Like they're like, oh my God, she's so cute, she's French. I just
sophisticated.
Right. Yeah. I'd be like, oh, she's so sophisticated. Like that. Yeah. But what would end up happening inevitably is I would have oh God, what is it? The accent that is my default. I have no idea how to do an accent.
Eastern European.
Yes. I had no idea, but I went to Estonia and the husband at the time was like, as soon as somebody opened their mouth and started talking, he was like, hold the phone. This is the accent you have been doing forever. This is the accent you could do. So I could crush an Estonian accent, which is probably what
you really are a master. If you ever get traumatic brain injury, I look forward to that aspect.
This is probably what will happen. So we have that to look forward to. Mm-hmm.
By the way, speaking of traumatic brain injury, I know we're winding it down, but my mom went to the Super Bowl party, like watching it party at her church. And and during halftime, they turned it off and they do testimonies instead. And I was like,
because
Mom, I was like, just so you know, the halftime show is the least offensive part of a football show.
This is
Game because they are all getting traumatic brain injuries
the whole time.
And you're fine with that. You just don't want a woman to be sexualized.
Right. Violence.
Or sexual.
Okay. Right.
Anyway,
God
just
forbid.
want to add that.
Pregnant Rihanna.
The sex doll dumped in the lake was either really funny or really not funny. We're not sure.
Jury's still out. Oh my God. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to go on a deep dive. Pun intended. Yeah.
I'm dying. And Roald Dahl is trying to be woke. Okay. Yeah. I think that wraps it up.
That's great. It blew my mind. This episode, so many interesting things.
We love you guys. And thanks for all your support. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.